What's up and welcome back. Today we're talking about all things India ink here on the Model Railroad Show. So yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. My name is George, and I did a video just, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago about weathering a boxcar. And one of the things I do when I weather my boxcars is I give them a wash of India ink. And a lot of questions about that. And so I thought there were enough questions about that I would do a video talking about India ink. First of all, what's India ink? India ink is finely ground soot known as lamp black and water. All right, so they take the soot and the water and they make this black wash, this black ink basically. And then they'll also have like shellac or gelatin or some kind of binder to keep that ink, to keep the ash and everything suspended in the water so it doesn't separate. That being said, I always still give it a good shake before I use it. So some things will, some India inks I'm sure that are out there just have black dye, but India ink's been around for a long time, since like 4 BC. So not a new product. Some of the questions I got were, mine is thick in the bottle, and yes, it is. This is a huge bottle of India ink. It's probably more than I'll ever use, but I got it cheap on Amazon, and it comes in a lot of different sizes. What you want to make sure is you're buying a waterproof ink, and most all India ink is, but there's a lot of weird stuff out there on the web, so make sure you're getting a waterproof ink. So how do I get it to the wash that you saw in the video where I give my cars or my structures or what have you? I'll show you some structures here I used India ink on. How do I get it to that? Well, basically I use alcohol and a mason jar, right? And I'll fill this mason jar mostly all the way up with alcohol. And then I will put in about 2 tablespoons. I'm sorry. I'll put in about 2 teaspoons, all right, into a mason jar. I think I wound up with 3 teaspoons in this mason jar to get it to the darkness that I wanted with one pass. And I do only like to do one pass of this, and we'll get into that in a minute. Test it out on some older models. You could test it out on like a plain piece of like painted styrene. You don't need to even have an old model to test the stuff out on. You could paint a piece of styrene like gray or Tuscan red or whatever type of maybe car you're going to model, and then you can give that painted piece of styrene a wash, and you'll get an idea of what it is that you're going to, how dark it's going to be. All right. So second important thing. So first thing you need the India ink, right? Secondly, you need isopropyl alcohol. A lot of discussion on isopropyl alcohol. If you look online and you look up India ink washes, they'll tell you can use either 70% or 91% typically is what you'll find. Don't use 90% on your models, man. If you have stickers or you have paint, you're going to start to strip the paint off with that 90. I use 70, and I will tell you, even sometimes with 70, you'll start to see decals really start to fade away. And I'll show you how it will make how it'll make paint fade away. I have a great example of that. Happy accident. It looks great, but you have to understand what you're kind of what you're getting into. I wouldn't put 90% alcohol on any of my rolling stock or a locomotive or whatever you're trying to weather, because it can strip the paint off of there. So 70% is where I'm at. The next thing you need is a nice soft bristled brush. This does not have to be an expensive brush. These brushes that I use typically, and you can see the tip of this brush is pretty black, because this is my India ink wash brush that I have sitting here. And I get this in a multi-pack from Hobby Lobby. Biggest modeling secret store there is out there is the Hobby Lobby. And then just give it a dip, and you can see in this clip here how it just, when it's watered down with the alcohol, it just flows real nicely over the model. Now keep in mind it's flowing, so whenever you're doing a wash, and it doesn't matter if it's an India ink wash like this, I've got some Hunter line washes here. If it's a Hunter line wash, it's a Thai brown, that's a dark brown. These are both kind of close in color. whatever kind of wash you're doing, you want to make sure that you're applying it in a direction that, water would flow or weathering would flow. Very important. And I will show you on a building that I have here how not to apply it. It was one of the first buildings I gave an India ink wash to, and some of it looks really great, and some of it's kind of hidden. And I'm going to see maybe if I need to rewash it, but I didn't want to do any of that because I thought about making this video. I said, here's a perfect example of what not to do, because it is going to dry, and especially sometimes this streaks a little bit, but it's going to dry in the direction you applied it. Like you may see that. Very important. Do not do not like brush this stuff like horizontally in your buildings or your cars. You're going to notice it. It's not going to look very good. All right. The other thing I do is I usually will wear gloves. I mean, this is India ink. It stains. You'll see when I come down here in weather, I'm usually in an old t-shirt, partially because I am almost always using an India ink wash or some kind of wash when I weather. The other thing is I'm using pan pastels, and pan pastels here, which you saw me use in that video as well, they can get messy and they can get all over the place. When I'm doing that, I'll even though I have my cutting mat here, I'll lay some paper towels down to catch most of the mess. It can be quite messy. Always old t-shirt, I'll keep like a rag and some paper towels around. Very important. And obviously gloves. Gloves for a number of reasons. Whenever you're weathering, I try and wear gloves when I'm doing with the chalk and the ink because I don't want to leave any fingerprints on my model. Because one thing about fingerprints is they're very easy to leave. They are very hard to get rid of. Like I said, I'm going to show you this model here. And you can see if we look at the back side of it here, and this is on the back side of the model, I actually went horizontal with these brush strokes. I don't know what caused me to do that, and I'm probably going to try and go back over this. I also left it puddle in a few places, which doesn't look the best either. So you just want to give it just a light wash over. A wash isn't something you're going to apply to a small area usually. When you apply a wash to a model, you're going to apply that look and go for that look to the whole model. So this is a very typical M scale kit here, and I'm using it as a beverage distributor. So it's got a lot of work to do on this one. And then I have this kit bashed structure here, and you can see one of the very cool effects is if you look at, I put my labeling on and I painted this white band off of up across the building, and basically gave the entire building a India ink wash here. Foundation, everything, gave this building a wash. And it's really cool effect because the ink settles into the brick and you get really great definition from the brick. The other thing that happened is, happy accident, because this is one of the first times that not the first time, I was getting better at using it here, but it took some of the paint off of the top of this strip that I had painted on this building. And then where it took off a lot, I went back and touched up a few bricks here and there, so it looks like the paint was touched up. Really kind of a cool effect. And then this building was obviously given the wash, and then it was weathered with pan pastels as well, and then it was sprayed with dull coat. This is a neat building. I wouldn't call it a scratch build, obviously, but it's I want to do a video on this building because this is very close to the prototype National Ceramic on Southern Street in Trenton, New Jersey. And right now I'm just working on some of these loading docks that I'm kit bashing to go up here as well. So pretty neat. It's a cool technique. It's cheap. I'll leave links obviously below for all of this stuff on Amazon. Waterproof ink is, I think this whole thing was $10. Alcohol is cheap. You can buy alcohol on Amazon. If you're a Walmart person, Target, they sell a bunch of them at Target. Usually they'll have all the strengths. I think Target even sells 60%. Again, you can buy this stuff anywhere. India ink, I'm sure you can get it at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at any craft store, any place that's into calligraphy, because that is what it was used for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's it. Let me know down in the comments if you used India ink on any of your models, if you've done any, if you typically use a wash when you weather. I mean, it's not appropriate all the time, but it's definitely a cool way to give your models a consistent look, especially depending on the type of layout you're building. Let me know if you've had success, and let me know if this is the first time you might have heard about it or seen it done. And that's it. So give me a thumbs up there, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when I post some new videos, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. All right, later.